Hello everyone. This will be a brief recording to show you how to install VirtualBox and Ubuntu on your in a virtual machine on your desktop. VirtualBox is open source free, well not open source but free now since Oracle took it over, and Ubuntu the OS is also free. We're going to install three pieces. We're going to install VirtualBox, we're going to install Ubuntu and a third OS. And the reason for that is we want to have at least two virtual machines that generate network traffic between them so that we can watch what's happening. So the first piece that you're going to do is download and install VirtualBox. If you just search for VirtualBox, I am using a Windows machine. The activity is fairly similar on a Mac. The important things to remember over here: you want to at least have a dual core CPU, ideally a quad core, but a dual core at least. Other important things are you also want to ensure that you have at least 8 gigs of RAM in your machine and you have at least about 250 gigs of spare disk space. Now, if you don't have the spare disk space, that's okay. You can use an external drive to do this. I will be in fact installing these virtual machines to my second drive on the machine. You will see that. I'll show you how. So let's get started. The first thing we're doing is download VirtualBox for Windows host. As you can see, you can drop it on OS X, that's Mac OS, or even a Linux or Solaris machine. So as soon as this is installed, this installation is fairly simple, very standardized installation, nothing too complex. The standard options work just fine. Soon as that's done, you do this. And I already have a virtual machine set up over here, so it pops up. Otherwise, you'd see a slightly different screen with a welcome to VirtualBox kind of window, but that's okay. Now, there's yet another important piece that you need to complete, which is go over here, click on all supported platforms for the extension pack, and open it with the VirtualBox Manager. Want to upgrade? You have to scroll down to the bottom before it'll allow you to click on the I agree and then complete the installation. Alright, so we're done with this. The next piece to do is you need to download the appropriate version of Ubuntu. I don't have a copy on my machine, so I'm going to download Now this takes a little while to download, but let the download finish and we will continue. So having completed the download of Ubuntu, I went ahead and also downloaded the Debian OS. I did the full Debian, which I've got over here. So you'll see I've downloaded the 3 DVDs. Okay, so now let's go ahead and install. I'm going to click on new. Now this is where you select where you want to drop your VMs, and so I am going to put them on my D drive in my virtual machines folder. I'm going to call my first one 18 because it's LTS 18. I'm going to give it 4 gigs of RAM because my machine has got 32 gigs of RAM. You'll have to be careful about how much RAM you give a virtual machine. Make sure you have enough for. So if you got an 8 gig computer, for example, give each of your virtual machines 2 gigs of RAM. That will leave your computer with 4 gigs of RAM for the rest. The next thing we do is we create a virtual hard disk. Select it as a VDI, that's fine. Let it be dynamically allocated. That way you will not use up all the space immediately. I am going to call it Ubuntu 18 and I'm going to give it 100 gigs of disk space to start with. I can always add more disk space later. I will show you how when we get to that point. Um, the other important thing to do now, click on settings, go to general, make sure you're able to copy your clipboard and drag and drop from your host to your desktop. You can put in a description if you want. You can encrypt the disk, but I don't, not for test systems. I make sure that I've given it one processor and I have enabled PAE. That's your virtualization features. For the display, I make sure I've given it sufficient display memory. Now, if you're short on memory, you can reduce this. But I do use and I enable 3D acceleration. I do use the display features of the graphic interface, so I do that. Before we go elsewhere, let's go to user interface. That's fine. Shared folders. Right now, I wouldn't worry about that. USB, I want to make sure I've enabled USB 3.0. For serial ports, we can enable them if we need them. Network. I will show you how to create a NAT network after we're done over here, but we're going to use the NAT network, and I have not yet created. So let's leave it at NAT. Come here. Uh, Audio is fine. We've enabled audio, and at storage, we click on the CD drive, click down, say I'll choose a virtual optical image. Go to your downloads folder or wherever you downloaded your Ubuntu, select the ISO, and go ahead and say OK. Now, before you do anything else, let's settle the network issue. Click on Host Network Manager, create. Yes, file preferences, and then come to network. Sorry. Over here, what we do is we create what is called a NAT network. Then we double click on it, make sure we change this 10.0.2 to 10.0.3. Make sure you're not creating, because we're going to work with IPv6, make sure we are supporting IPv6 and we advertise the default IPv6 route. Now let's go back to our Ubuntu, click on settings, click on network, go to NAT network, and make sure you selected NAT network. Say OK. And now you're ready to start the machine. This does take a few minutes to go through. We'll go through the initial selection stages, and then I will complete the install and we'll come back. As you see, it does take a few minutes to bring you to the install screen, so I wouldn't worry too much about it not doing anything. Give it time. Click on install Ubuntu over here. We will select US English as our choice. Continue. We will install whatever third-party softwares are required. As long as you got a reasonable internet connection, you can also download updates while installing Ubuntu. It's okay to erase this because you're erasing the file. I'm selecting New York because I'm located in the Eastern time zone. You can select the time zone based on the time zone you're located in. Your name. Again, standard. and now the installation will continue. So I'll let the installation work its way through and come back. Alright, so now we're done with the install of Ubuntu. Click on restart. And over here you want it to remove it wants you to remove the installation medium and press enter. If you click on this, it'll say the disk has been removed, so we can press enter. Log in, make sure that you're logging in okay. So your Ubuntu is ready, but it's not fully ready. What I'd like you to do is click on open terminal and ping. Make sure that your ping is working. That tells you you're connected to the internet and your network settings are okay. Once you've done that, over here what we're going to do is we're going to install the VirtualBox extensions. What this will do for us is uh, while software update is ready, you do not want to go there. This is what we're going to do. Before we get there, let's do this. And then we do an upgrade. So we've completed the upgrade. Now we're going to do a distribution upgrade. And now that that's done, We install the guest editions. Let's click run. It opens up a terminal window. It wants your password. So it's saying that the system is not set up to run kernel packages. This is what you need to do. Open up a terminal window again. Type this command in carefully. Now that that's done, close this terminal window. Go to devices, insert guest editions image, and run. And if you notice, you'll see that activity is happening when you look at this little window over here that shows you this activity. So once that install is complete, click return. Eject your disk. And then reboot your system. So once the machine is rebooted, log back in. And you'll notice that you're able to resize your desktop to a more convenient size. It's a lot easier to work with. That installs the hardware extensions. Now we are going to do the same thing with Debian. The reason I don't break it up into multiple partitions is this is a virtual machine anyway. It's a machine in a machine. I don't need to go crazy about it. On a physical disk, yes, you want to partition it to make it more efficient and effective. I am not going to install the other DVDs for the moment. If you wanted to, you would do it over here. The way to do it, you would have had to install them. I don't believe it will allow me to add storage right now. Let's see. No, it won't. If I could, then I'd have been able to add them over here. So let's skip the step. It's okay for our use. You can use a network mirror, yes. Depending on what you want to play with, I like to install all the potential desktop managers. We will let a web server and SSH server run. But you don't need to. All you need to do is pick one of GNOME, XFCE, KDE, Cinnamon, Mate, or LXDA. If you don't know what you're doing, go with GNOME. That should be good enough. The default selection is good. Once the software installation is done, it'll ask you to pick a display manager. For the sake of our uh, work, I'm going to stay with the GNOME display manager, the default manager. Once that install is complete, it'll ask you to install the grub bootloader, which you will say yes, select the device that's shown. Now, once again, open a terminal. Now, now if that is not available, then let's do the same thing we did on the other machine, which is so that completes that install. Now we're ready for, let's eject that. Go to System, Devices, insert Guest Editions. So in this case, it's a little different, so we'll have to run it by hand. So this is what we're going to do again. We've got everything over here. So now that that's complete, we're ready to reboot. We do a restart. We can remove the word guest editions disk. Resize, and the final thing to do is make sure we know what our IPs are. I have my Debian running as 10.0.3.6. Let's see what my So this is 10.0.3.4, and let's see if I can ping my other machine. I can. So with this, our virtual machines are ready, and we are ready to go to the next stage. I will stop here and we will continue this and the use of the machines in the next phases.